evening, televiewers of Info TV. Thanks once more for joining us on this, your faithful program, Game of Thrones. Here in Yaoundé, of course, today we'll be talking about population census, or rather fake fraud allowances dedicated to maybe public servants and people who are working within the administration in Cameroon. This issue has been a cause for concern as the government of Cameroon, through the Ministry of Finance, came up with a strategy to crack down at those people who table fake birth certificates into the public service and are receiving allowances from the government. This has cost a lot of billions of francs at CFA, over 50 billion francs at CFA, as the government of Cameroon, through the Ministry of Finance, has decided this time around to carve out these issues as people who have been working, most especially within the defense and security forces. Over 4,300 birth certificates were discovered, of course, being introduced into the system by retired personnel of the defense and security forces in the country. And the government, of course, has continued to make sure that this issue should not be a thing that should continue and render the administration powerless. And of course, this is what we'll be talking tonight. The question that we'll be asking, these are fraud fake birth certificates that are being tabled before the administration of Cameroon. Who is responsible for this? Is it the workers, the public servant, or those working within the defense and security forces, or there are people who, of course, are engineering these individuals to go ahead, because at the end of the day, they do have serious, huge financial benefit from the government. Of course, so we have a plethora of panelists that will be talking about these issues and also provide concrete solutions to overcome this problem, cankerworm, of course, that is hitting the economic atmosphere in the country. With us present on set, we have Numfo Lawson, who happens to be a civil society activist. Good evening and welcome once more to the program.
Good afternoon, Phil. Good afternoon, dear panelists. Good afternoon, dear Cameroonians at home and abroad watching this program. I would like to start this program by congratulating the people of the United States of America who are celebrating the 250th anniversary of the independence of that great nation today.
Thank you very much, Numfo Lawson. It is very obvious that Cameroonians all over the world, those of course who are residing in America, United States of America, of course, do join hands alongside with the embassy, Cameroon embassy to the US of A, of course, to celebrate this prestigious day dedicated to the people of the United States of America. Still with us, we have a communicator with the MP3 party. He's no other person than Jean-Baptiste. Good evening and welcome once more to the program.
Good evening, Mr. Phil. Good evening to my co-panelists of this evening. And good evening to the million of televiewers watching at us throughout the world. And with your permission, I would like to extend my warm greetings to the first vice president of the MP3 party, Mr. Bruce Tabet, who this week conducted a mini football tournament in the New Bell prison, and with the hope that sports can give back joy, can give back hope and confidence to these inmates. It was a very, very interesting sportive and ludic activity, and we can only praise these kind of endeavors, this kind of initiatives.
Thank you very much. Of course, your party is sparing no efforts to make sure that it do penetrate all the environment, the look and crannies of Cameroon. I'll come to you, Barrister Lekelefak Michael, happens to be, of course, favorite panelist too on this very set. Good evening and welcome to the program. It's very obvious that over the week we saw so many things that has been happening, but first of all, good evening and welcome to the program.
Good evening, Mr. Enchi. Good evening to my co-panelists and good evening to the televiewers of Info Television. Thanks for the invitation. Why I would like to express through my congratulations to the celebration of the independence of the great nation, United States of America, because they were under the British colonial. If my history is good, I think they were colonized by the British, but they became an independent state, and today they are even the British may learn from the Americans. This is to show that we in Africa, when we keep decrying colonial master, it is not because we are colonized or whatever, it is because we have chosen. And to go in line with that, you see the effect, the negative effect of colonialism, which I want to condemn here, which is an action I witnessed with my eyes at Alo subdivision in Fontaine. that you cannot tell that during crisis, as we are going on, we are declaring that we should have peace, mitigation, and all the like. A whole divisional officer will get up in the morning, being guarded with a team of military, the B with loaded ammunition and whatever, they go to the street and they harass. I think it's harassment. Everybody which is plying the road, because we want at least people to get back home, you stop them and they have to clear the road. I am not against
community labor.
I'm not against community labor, but community labor should not be. You as an administrator come take the initiative with the villagers who are resident there, with the local chiefs. They should organize a community that everybody will participate. It's not that because you are a GO you come and stand and you with the military and the B. What are the B doing in community with guns? And this is not community level.
Thank you very much. It is very obvious that in that particular area of the country, the insecurity or the security threat is prevalent. So coming out with measures like this will curve out these issues so that the people of that community or environment actually can live peacefully. Still, we have Changvi Roosevelt. Good evening, a local development expert.
Good evening, Phil. Good evening to all my co-panelists. Good evening to all the wonderful televiewers of Info TV. It's always a pleasure to be here, and I hope we are going to be up to the task to handle the very technical issue that is on the table today.
It is very obvious that over the weekend you saw how a girl had to stab a child in her own day, and in the sense of the fact that she was saying that it is the son of man who sent him. Things are happening.
I mean, things are really happening. Things are really happening, and these are things that we have been decrying for so long. The fact that people easily get carried away with the so-called men of God, we need to be very careful. Jesus himself said it, many will come in my name, and they are coming, and unfortunately, because of the hardship and because of the situation that many people are facing now, they can easily get carried away. But nonetheless, we should stay vigilant, and we should stay patient with life. Life is not a race. Take it small.
Thank you very much, Changvi Roosevelt. Of course, we'll be gearing directly to what we have for you tonight as a menu, as we'll be talking about the family allowance fraud in Cameroon. Who is responsible of this? It is very obvious that the Ministry of Finance in Cameroon, headed by the Minister Luipo Motaze, has been coming out with strong reforms, of course, the Operation Alpha, to make sure that those, of course, individuals who are working within the Cameroonian public service and even in the defense and security forces domain, they should of course declare their birth certificate of their children receiving allowances that correspond with the number of kids that they do possess as we speak. It is very obvious that due to some checks that has been carried out by this ministerial department in the country, over 4,300 birth certificates have been discovered, and a lot of them between 2024 right up to 2026. It's very obvious that a lot of billions of francs CFA has been given or been dishing out over the years to fake people who are existing in the country. Of course, people who are not even existing in the country, and people have been benefiting from this, and the government of Cameroon is taking measures to make sure that these things become a thing of the past. The question we'll be asking, is this a fraudulent situation a responsibility of the public servant, or where is it coming from? That is what we'll be gearing towards it as the program unfolds. But before we get there, let's do have this transition, and we'll be back in a jiffy. Family allowance fraud in Cameroon. Who is responsible? It is a serious cause for concern, as billions of francs CFA has been injected into the accounts of public servants in the country, most especially in the defense and security forces in the country. And these money were not meant towards this direction. It is because of fake applications or fake certificates that were being channeled to the public service in the country, and the authority that had to go through this document and allocated financial benefit to these public servants in the country. There are people who came and claimed that they had 10 children, meanwhile they had just 2, and others coming claiming that they have 16 children, meanwhile they just have, they're in position of 1, and others are just from their family members. This has been creating a lot of concern, as Cameroonian government has been spending over the years billions of francs CFA, and this money actually was supposed to be channeled towards another direction to make sure that it can improve the infrastructure of the country and also provide potable water and other facilities to Cameroonians. But still, the same Cameroonians are the one that, of course, that's what the panelists will be telling us in the course of this problem. Cameroonians are still the one, both in the, of course, the public service, and also those who are still aspiring to get into this issue. But actually, what category of people are responsible behind this situation in the country? I'll commence with you, Changvi Roosevelt, who happens to be a local development expert. It is very obvious that today we see this situation that is very disturbing in Cameroon. Who is behind this?
Well, maybe I start by saying that it's a public finance scandal. It's a very big scandal, because when you look at the amount of money that, and the statistics that we observe, we discover that the number of children registered in our government systems that, belong to civil servants, out of a sudden just skyrocketed from 500,000 to about 900,000.
Over 900,000
yes, over 900,000.
Between 2024 to 2026.
Exactly. Between 2024 to 2026. And he gave a rise of 55% in less than 21 months. That is statistically and biologically impossible when you look at the figures. And the reason why it is a serious public finance fraud is because it has led, just as you said in your introduction, to an increase in public expenditure, in that within 21 months, the state has spent from 21 billion, and today we are at 38 billion. That is in 21 months. That is almost a double of the amount. So because of this, I think the Minister of Finance had to say, okay, there's a serious problem here, let us do something about it. But now the problem is that, like you asked, everybody is responsible. Everybody, in the sense that
everybody is not working within the public service.
Yes, no, everybody is responsible. We all have a role to play, because if you look at the society in which we live today, if you look at the economic pressure, there is a lot of economic pressure, and the very first thing that led to this is the revalorization of salaries, of wages, that took place in February 2024, when the head of state, decided to add some 5,000 to state workers and so on. You discover that family allowance also moved. Family allowance that used to be at 2,800, it moved to 4,500. So I mean,
but with this Changvi, with this increment in the allowances, why is it that still this issue is still reigning in Cameroon? And it is very obvious that it is the government that is cracking down individuals who are coming in with these fake documents. But with all the financial support that the state is offering to those who are supposed to be in need of, in possession of this finance, why is it that these people are still gearing towards the direction of producing birth certificates, claiming that they have this number of children at home, meanwhile some of them do not possess?
Yes, I think that particular problem that you are bringing out is an institutional problem, because there's a lot of fraud in between. Because digitally, because we're talking about digitalization of public service in Cameroon, when you look at it digitally, if you look at the system that manages wages, salaries in Cameroon, which we call CGPS, there's no link between CGPES and the civil status registry. Why? Because the civil status registry in itself, for donkey years now, the state has been talking about digitalizing civil status in Cameroon. When I talk about civil status here, I'm talking about birth certificates, marriage certificates, death certificates, and so on and so forth. So there's no link. So there's nothing that, there's no internal control, let me put it that way. There's no internal control where at the level of CGPES you can easily detect that this birth certificate is fake or this birth certificate is good. So that is the first thing. There is this institutional problem in that we are yet to digitalize our civil status registry, which is still posing serious problems with many councils today, because for now I think we have just one council that has successfully, digitalized the civil status registry. If I'm not forgetting, I think the name is Betwa. Is going out of my mind. Of course, aside that, we have economic pressure, because
economic pressure from who?
Economic pressure, day-to-day life, and a high increase in prices. Inflation. If you look at the standard of living, it has, in fact, the way Cameroonians,
that has been the cost. That has been the cost behind this production of fake birth certificates and
it is one of the causes. Yes,
it's
one of the causes, because everything is expensive and everybody wants to live. That is a cause. That is one of the causes, I can say. We have, the increase in the revalorization of this family allowance was to compensate for the increase in fuel prices that took place at that time. Fuel prices, when we talk of fuel, I think super, let us call it locally. Super that used to be at 650 was moved to maybe
730
to 730. It's 800 now.
It was 730.
Okay, it was 730. It was first of all six something. It moved to 7. Then now we are at 8. So it was like they were struggling to compensate. So you see that the day-to-day necessities of life are climbing, but the salaries themselves are not increasing. So to an extent, the civil servants, and when we talk of civil servants here, those who are particularly targeted in this are, teachers and military officers, and those are people that we all know in the civil service that are suffering the highest in terms of salary, in terms of allowances. They are the highest, who need to riot. They are the highest, who need to shout before they have their salaries paid. They are the highest who need to riot before they have allowances paid, advancements left and right. So you see, these are some of the issues that cause or that lead to economic pressure, that causes some of them to engage into such activities, which of course is not legal. It may be legitimate, but it's not legal, because legitimate, why? They have children at home, they need to feed those children. So at some point in time, when they look at the institutional lapses that are in our institution, they say, okay, why not take this advantage and maybe feed my children back at home? But of course, it's not legal. It is very wrong.
Thank you very much, Changvi Roosevelt, local development expert. I'll come to you, Jean-Baptiste Eyaya. It is very clear that this situation has been a troubling one in the country, as lots of families have been using this opportunity to switch to a better financial positions in the country. Now, tell us, do you think they were being inspired by something?
Mr. Phil, we are living in a country where ministers have embezzled huge sums of money and they are still in function. We are living in the same country where they have declared a particular person have registered more than 3,000 fake civil servants and has been benefiting from the allowances for about 10 years. It passed that way and he benefited. So we are living in a country that has its kind of porosity when it comes to curbing this kind of malpractices. I think if there was not that culture of impunity that has been modeled maybe by those who are leading us, these particular practices will not be happening. If, for example, the canned gate was taken very seriously, if the COVID gate was taken very seriously, if the different now we are talking about the gold gate, were taken very seriously, no Cameroonian, no civil servant will even dare try to play games with the law, because that is play games with the law, and because they are corporate. This is a very big financial crime, and they are susceptible to go for imprisonment and to pay fines and all that. I think if we are very serious to fight against embezzlement and corruption, we need to make a top to bottom approach. It means that we need to serve by example. We should not only target I would say the lowest level of civil servants to be able to pay for these particular crimes. Meanwhile, we still have other crimes. For example, I don't know when we shall bring it up. There are fictive missions. Fictive missions registered yearly by civil servants and taking money for that, and they're never completing that.
When you talk about fictive missions, Cameroonians really want to understand.
Yes,
there
are some people who justified some money by saying that they went for missions and all that, and then money is given for that, and they have never accomplished any mission.
Let me just add something to what he's saying. You know, in a year we have 365 days. Let me tell you that in Cameroon we have people who have missions for 500 days. That is, you have in a year 365 days, but there are people who are being paid missions for days that are even more than that of a year in a financial year. So that, I think those are some of the aspects he's trying to raise. It is actually fictitious. That's what we call overlapping mission orders.
So these particular practices, but unfortunately the state is in conditions where they need money. We have seen for some months now the government trying to beat everywhere so as to get some money. Now, where do we get the money? They are targeting these poor civil servants who are trying to meet some ends, trying to find ways to meet ends in this very hard economy. But if they are really genuine in their fight against corruption, in their fight against embezzlement, they know who to target. They know how to target them. We are in a country where the country declared that they sold 22 kilograms of gold in a year. Meanwhile, the foreign partners, we talk about tons of gold, and we are talking about billions of francs CFA going.
2,000.
So are we really joining about this fight? So people up there are enjoying, and then they are targeting civil servants who are really toiling to make sure that Cameroonians are being taught as teachers, Cameroonians are being secured as military men.
Jean-Baptiste, are you trying to tell Cameroonians that those, of course, who do have a minimum or at least pay a check at the end of the month, do you think it is actually okay for them to falsify birth certificate or produce information that does not tie with what they have when they came into service?
No, obviously no. We don't stand for forgery. We don't stand against falsification. But what we are trying to say is that we are trying to understand the context. We are not legitimating what they have done. We are not actually legalizing or accepting what they have done. But we are trying to understand the context. And we feel that if we are genuine to fight against this thing, then we have to start somewhere. And where that place will be more productive than what they are doing right now.
But these are people who keep saying that the government of President Paul Biya is doing nothing. But how can you, which of course you are a citizen of the country and you're working within the public administration and you're doing this, how are you expecting development to proceed in the country if this kind of attitude is being inculcated to you and has been transferred to even the siblings, even others who are aspiring to enter into the public service? Some see this now as a means to get rich. Do you think actually it is a cankerworm?
Obviously there is a moral issue, a moral problem that needs to be addressed. That's reflected not only by these civil servants who are forging, trying to get so much money than what they deserve, but it is much more global, a much more national problem, this kind of corruption. And I think the powers in place need to devise measures on how to boost the morality, the moral upbringing of our own citizens, so that in the years coming, on the generation coming, should not be subjected to this kind of conditions.
Of course, there will be a moment for you to give your opinion concerning a way forward. I'll come to you, Andum for Laos Ongwa. You are a civil society activist. It is very obvious that based on the statistics, over 4,300 retired personnel of the Defense and Security Forces were, of course, have been identified as people who've been receiving these allowances, and some of them, of course, there's an age limit between 16 and 20 for the military and also those at the national security, talking about the police. Now tell us, Do you think that there has been something that has been pushing these people to get towards the direction? Being a retired worker, even after being retired, you're still receiving this salary. Is it that the system failed Cameroonians?
Thank you, Phil. I just want to queue up with Jean-Baptiste in saying that the poor living conditions, and even with Roosevelt, that poor living conditions and so on may not be a justification for involving in such activities. But the context in which Cameroonians are living leave a lot to be desired, and it pushes even a saint to do things that they wouldn't have done if the working conditions were otherwise.
Have you done this?
Not necessarily, but you can't say that I wouldn't do it. It is, you see, some of these things.
So you are intending to do it.
Some of these things happen. Some of these things happen when you least expect them, or you are at times you are pushed to do some of these things because of the circumstances surrounding you. Phil, I would like to say that one of the major causes of this fraud, this family allowance fraud, is the cuts in salaries in the 90s. Between 1993 and 1994, there were 2 salary cuts, huge, of 70%. That took civil servants. There were civil servants who were on 400, 500,000 francs. After those 2 salary cuts, some came down to 80,000, some came down to 90,000. And they are with huge families. You know, we live in an African society where we live with brothers, sisters, children, brothers, children, an extended family system, and we cannot differentiate between our brothers' children, our sisters' children, and our own biological children, who are part and parcel of the family. So when with these huge salary cuts, these people had no other option than to, you know, start faking birth certificates, or not even faking, or using their brothers' children and their sisters' children and fitting them into the system so as to get something from there to sponsor these children to school, pay their hospital bills, and, you know, do other things for them. Because we are in an African society where the extended family is the order of the day. You cannot, you know, do without your extended family in Cameroon and in other African countries. But I am not justifying fraud. I am just trying to bring out the situation, the background information. This poor salary situation in Cameroon is partly responsible for this upsurge.
No, for Lawson.
Yes.
If you keep talking about a poor salary situation in Cameroon, it is not every Cameroonian that's working within the public service that are into this situation.
Some may not be into it, but they are defrauding the system in another way. If you see a civil servant who is not into fake birth certificates, he has other lines, or he has other networks, fraudulent networks that enable him to live.
Are you telling us that everybody at the public service is already into
it is difficult to 9 out of 10 civil servants in Cameroon, you know, they have found out they have a way of circumventing low salaries. How do you imagine a grade 1 teacher in Yaoundé with a salary of 40,000 francs or 50,000 francs? A driver. There are drivers in Yaoundé category D on 35,000 francs. How do you expect him to live?
But there are other bonuses at the end of the day.
Which bonus? When we are talking about 35,000, we are talking about his basic salary. And then if you add 1 or 2 allowances to that 35,000 francs, which is his basic salary, he has about 50 to 60,000 francs. If he is renting a room in Yaoundé for 30,000 francs, or let me say a studio for 35,000 francs, what does he have again to live with his? What does he have to give to his wife?
Do you expect the government to recruit people who do not meet up their educational background expected?
No, the government, these people, Cameroonians, many Cameroonians have been pushed into fraud and some of these things because of low salaries. The government needs to sit up. We have there is a generalized one of the reasons too for this upsurge is the fact that, you know, our nation, even from the 70s right up to now, we have this culture of not declaring our right ages for several reasons. In the English-speaking part of Cameroon, in the 70s and 80s, right up to the 90s, it was difficult for an Anglophone to enter the public service because of the language problem. So parents grew up, when a parent has a child who is leaving class 7 or from 5, he redeclares that child's age. So as to give that child, you know, so as to give that child an opportunity.
A leverage.
Yes, a leverage to maybe write a public exam 4 or 5 times to meet up. So you see, age reduction in Cameroon is part of our DNA. And even those who, when people enter the public service, they want to live at a certain age because people are afraid of going on retirement. The wages are low, and so on and so forth. Then we have finance officials themselves are responsible for this practice.
How?
Yes, let me explain. They are the ones who lure civil servants into this nonsense. Bring me, please line up 30 children and you have an increment of 40,000 francs a month. Then I will make you have an arrears of 3 million. We share the allowance 50-50. You take 1.5 and I take 1.5.
So you are telling us that these administrators also connive with
yeah, they are the ones
that it comes to limelight.
They are the ones who even induce civil servants into it. They are the ones who induce civil servants, and they know that the civil servants have very low salaries. They know that when they propose this, they will easily accept. So when they propose like that, they accept. You know that if you take if you are given an arrears of 3 million and you have to give 1.5 to the finance official and you take 1.5, with that 1.5 living in Yaoundé or in Douala, you can easily buy a piece of land and start a building project. So that is an easy way of augmenting your salary. Yes.
But why is it that after within the age of 16 and 20 years respectively between the security forces and the defense forces, why is it that people continue? Why is it that they do not go to the authorities that be to say that no, it is time for us to reduce or to stop receiving these allowances, but they continue receiving these allowances given the fact that they claim that their children are still 16 and 20 years? Does it mean that their children doesn't get old? The machine,
the system, the computer system automatically, when your child reaches 21 years, the system automatically expunges the child from benefiting from the 2,800 francs or 4,500 as the case may be. So once the child is expunged, what happens is that the officers, they go back and feed different children. So if at the beginning you had 10 children and after some 5 years you now have 5, the tendency is for you to go back now and feed 5 other children with very young ages.
And who is benefiting from this?
The beneficiary is a person who gives the children to be fitted into the system alongside with the finance official, because it is a system of kickbacks. When you bring the children and I give you the arrears, we share the arrears into 2, and then you have a certain amount of fixed salary that you earn at the end of the month. So that is a way of circumventing the low salaries in Cameroon. We are not justifying anything, but we are just trying to be objective, to look at the situation on the ground. Then we have fictitious childbirth certificates and school attendance certificates that are required from some civil servants who are going on retirement. You know, when in Cameroon, when you are placed on retirement, you are asked to compile documents. When you compile documents, the documents must be complete. There are cases where a civil servant goes on retirement and all the children that he put when he was in active service are now more than 21 years. And then if he says that he doesn't have children again, the people in the public service will say that his file is not complete. So he will be obliged to fabricate children to bring, and even are cases where he has to fabricate a marriage certificate. If his wife or his spouse had died, he or she will fabricate a birth certificate and marriage certificate in order to complete that file, that pension file. Otherwise, it will not be submitted in the public service for that person to benefit from liquidation of rights. So it is a double, you see, it is the civil servant is in a
tight corner.
In a tight corner. He is obliged to do some of these things in order to survive, or in order for his documents to go through.
No, Lawson, it is very obvious that there are some benefits that do accompany some of these civil servants while on services. They have other baskets. They have admission allowances. They have maybe some even have house allowances and so on and so forth. But is this not sufficient?
There are some calls that people don't have many allowances. Like a classroom teacher, a grade 1 teacher. What does a grade 1 teacher have? Apart from his naked salary that he goes and takes at the end of the month. If there is one thing that he can do to augment his salary, it is maybe to teach private classes. How much will he or she have in teaching a private class? You see? So there are some calls where people don't have those fringe benefits, those sundry benefits.
But if people are claiming that the money that they do receive from the government as pay packages at the end of the month as a public servant or civil servant in the country, why not gear towards another direction like business?
The public service code, the public service code even forbids civil servants from doing business. Because you cannot serve two masters at a time. If civil servants are not doing business, it's out of stubbornness, and it's because of low salaries, because they have to make ends meet.
Even agriculture also is prohibited?
No, agriculture.
But why not get into it?
My dear brother, agriculture requires a lot of money. There is no Cameroonian who does not do some form of subsistence agriculture. But agriculture, for the purpose of making money, requires a capital. It requires money. You need land, you need machinery, you need other inputs.
And the only source of getting this money is by doing this, taking into consideration these are fake well, apply them so that you can receive money from the state illegally.
Some civil servants, for some civil servants who raise capital to do farming, they have to pass through this system. Because if in a year you have that money and other kickbacks, say if in a year somebody has those kickbacks like say 5 million, they can easily now go to Tv, buy land, then look for workers, they clear his plantation and put cocoa, put cassava, and after some time he starts making money. See, so you see, these are ways. We are sorry to be bringing up these things on a platform like this, but these are the things that Cameroonians do to survive.
Thank you very much, Anum.
These are things that Cameroonians do to survive.
Thank you very much, Anum, for Lawson. I'll come to you, Barrister Lekele Faka-Michael. You are a barrister at law, and it is very obvious that from the legal perspective, you're going to tell us actually, is this a system? Is it that the legal instrument that has been put in place to curve out this issue of fake birth certificates within the public administration is not working?
When you talk about legal system, our criminal law punishes there is forgery, which is actually the four. It's particularly when it comes to public document. The law is very, very sensitive with respect to that. But you want me to question about the implementation of law, which we have been decrying here times and again, that the law is just for the commoners. It's not for the people, the bosses who are in power, on power. The question is not the law in Cameroon. The question is the mindset of those governing this country.
But a barrister, you come to discover that those who are implicated into this stuff are people who are working as normal civil servants, not the authorities that you claim to be. Why is it?
Excuse me.
What happened that they had this impetus to go in for this, and knowing fully well that they are destroying Cameroon's economy?
When you talk about the people, I think you've mentioned about two categories of cause. We talk about the military, and the military is not under the public, even if they are under the public service, but they are governed by a special status. The military is not. We
have the security forces too.
All of them. Those are people are under special status under the public service. They are public servants, but they are not governed like the teachers, the other teachers.
So now, when you find these documents,
yes, I'm not refusing, but I want to bring you why you look at this issue Kankarom
recurring
in our system. Take the military corps. yesterday, when I talk about yesterday, I mean in the past, we saw that it was very, very difficult for youth to get themselves interested in joining this corps. But today, everybody wants to go there.
They are patriotic.
It's not patriotism, but this is the door which the government has used, because the government has made that corps to be the one which can easily recruit, because it is helping to secure power for some people. And when you take the military corps itself today, take the police, take the gendarmerie, take the army, you discover that some elites, they just, when we launch concours, they are launching the concours.
Entrance examination.
The entrance examination is just maybe a formality. We have already recruited about, I already know that I'm taking NC to feeding in NC, feeding 10 persons into the corps.
Barrister,
This is not people are getting in because of their calling.
There are people who got into the army and the security forces in the country without any bribe.
I'm not saying that I'm not talking about bribe here. I'm saying that there are people who have voluntarily made this corps, which was a noble corps, they have transformed it today to be some sort of tribalized corps.
How does it relate? How does that relate to the issue of fake birth certificate and allowances?
Yes,
that has been discovered by the Ministry of Finance.
I will come to that, Mr. Enchi. Mr. Enchi, you are a child. I mean, in your youthfulness, you would never wanted. You were dreaming to become a medical doctor, but you find yourself now holding a gun, and your salary as a military person is not up to 100,000 francs, and you need to meet the realities of your life. How do you want to cope how do you want to cope? As my co-panelists have already said, you need to go beyond. You need to now strategize in order to make ends meet.
But Barrister, it is very clear that the MINDEF and the DGSN, are we talking about the national security in the country, they do pay their workers, or the military and the police enough. The payment is constituted for them to go about. Why the consistent?
Mr. Enchi,
yeah.
There is, when you talk about, I have come across a police officer, a constable, police constable, decrying of the fact that to wear a uniform, a police uniform today, a police officer needs to buy this gadget, which to yesterday they were being offered, like during a main public event, they were giving this uniform free of charge. They were giving them free of charge.
You said public event.
I'm talking about like National Day celebration.
And like it continues till date.
It continues today, but they are buying. If you don't buy, you don't have it. You see a police officer wearing the uniform, which is as full. But you ask the question, why can you not get it? Why can you not have like a uniform?
Some of them like it the way
it's not because some of them like it. They have the little salary the mega salary that he has is not sufficient to take care of all what he has. When you take about the military corps and the police corps that we are talking about, gendarmerie, police and all the like, you discover that they are the top officials, top ranking officials who have the highest, they are the ones who are having the highest salaries. But the ones at the base, they have nothing as salaries. They are just there, working for this, laboring for this, their officials to enjoy. And now the fact that we have an administration, an archaic administration. We have an archaic administration because we look at the problems. There are problems in society that an administration has to anticipate. You look at a problem today, you try to foresee in the next the years to come. But we have an administration which is it is only when they are taken on a surprise that they begin to denounce.
Thank you very much. Before I come back to you, let me just send this information that, of course, if you want to participate on this program, you can connect to us through the numbers on your screen on WhatsApp, or send us SMSs. We'll read them and we'll air out your contribution to the web. Please, we do not take calls, neither voice messages here. Just send your messages. We read them across, and of course, Cameroonians, both home and abroad, we understand your own participation and find a lasting solution to this problem plaguing the Cameroonian society. I come to you back, Dr. Barrister Alekele Faka Mike, from the legal perspective. Who is failing?
The person who is failing is the authority which is charged with the implementation of the law.
But the laws are there.
It's not the laws are there.
Why is it that? Why is it that these people are not respecting the law?
Let me bring an example to make you sure when I talk about the failure of administration. You know about the issue of DV lottery. We just talked about the celebration of independence of the Americans a few minutes ago. You discover that today, if you want to like a couple going for a visa or
visa application, the embassies, they carry on investigation right at the grassroots to see that these documents which have been tendered are authentic. But we have an administration in Cameroon. We have an administration which, once the papers are submitted, even when they will finally treat it, it may be they dump it or they destroy. I don't know what they do ever with it. So that is why I say the first failure is the archaic administration we have does not meet, is not working for the interest of this country, but they are just there to maybe enjoy themselves. They enjoy the taxpayers' money, and they squander it until when they find a difficulty. They are afraid they declined it today because the money which they were using today is not forthcoming as it used to be. If there was still money to squander in the embezzlement and all the like, they will not be declined. They will not be investigating to know where. Barrister, it is their duty. It is their duty to crack down this situation.
I'm not saying that cracking down is not good, but I'm saying that if they are cracking down today, is because the state coffers are almost negative. So now they are looking for ways from within. Now, is it that we have problems? And don't be surprised that the Minister of Finance acting today, they might have gone for a loan somewhere. They want to take loans, and somebody, it may be a foreign body, is just saying, go back to your military, look at the military corps, look at this problem. Then these are things which might happen, which to tell you that we have an administration which is not working.
Thank you.
When talking about the registration today, Mr. Enchi, we talk about how do this birth certificate even come into being. If you look at, you see that the creation of civil status registration centers, if somebody gets retired as a civil administrator, because of the retirement he doesn't want to stay at home. He goes with the closeness in the administration. They create a civil status registration center, and he is the chief of head of the registry. They want to fake all these documents to get population, which is not real.
So you are telling us that there are people, there are Cameroonians who do obtain birth certificate, not actually at the right dedicated civil status.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that
in the quarters.
I'm saying that once the civil status registry has been is created just because we want to compensate Mr. Enchi because he worked with us, we create a center for you. Now
is it legalized? Is it legal?
The center is legal. But the civil status register there, he wants to make his own ends meet now. What are they? What do they have?
He's doing his job,
and the job is they're doing the job, and that is why when we want to get to the solution, one of the things which I will be saying that, and which I have been advocating, is that birth registration, death and marriages should be taken away from the councils and all those civil status registration centers. We have
to where
we have
they should be taken from there to where
we have local chiefs who are the people directly with the grassroots people. Who, if the chief, like we talk about Info TV, that Info TV is a small quarter, and there is a quarter head here. The quarter head should be empowered to knowing the people within his area of command, that cases of birth should be registered there, and now there should be a liaison between that center and the council. The council. This will control that if we come across a birth certificate, we can call up Mr. Enchi, who is the head of this quarter, to know, is this document authentic? Is this child?
If the person is no more alive,
we cannot be talking about, if the quarter head dies, there is a formality to get a new quarter head. There is no quarter without a quarter head.
Fire incident,
there is no quarter without a quarter head. What I'm trying to say is that when you do this, that when people are conscious of the fact that the children they are aligning for these benefits and all the like, the fictitious children today will be followed up. That attitude will be curbed out by first changing the mindset.
Thank you very much,
Phil. I just want to add that you know, at the local level, we need to synchronize the activities even of those civil status registrars.
And for us, we'll be coming towards the era of proposing solutions to this issue. I'll be coming very soon. I'll come to you, Achangu Roosevelt. We are within the era of information and communication technology. But why is it that is it difficult to implement this information and communication technology within the administrative or the administration of Cameroon?
Well, I won't say it's difficult. It's just the political will, because
It's not that.
we have seen in some areas where the government has tried to, implement these information and technological tools here and there. Every civil servant, at least for now, uses EGLE. EGLE is that software that manages all the civil servants in Cameroon. They send you messages on your salary situation and so on and so forth. But this particular area, I don't know why. Sometimes I'm tempted to think that
this civil status registry,
yes,
can it not be computerized?
It can, and the government has actually been working on this project for a very long time. That is why I say maybe it's a political will.
And what has been the hindrance behind it?
We do not know. We actually do not know, because there is not supposed to be a hindrance. The first thing is that we have an entire institution in Cameroon that manages civil status. They call it BUNEC. A whole institution, it's an establishment that manages civil status in Cameroon. And they work in partnership with all councils and all other special civil status centers. So at some point I begin to wonder what is the problem. And I want to believe that we have our young entrepreneurs today who have probably proposed some of these softwares, because we have a good chunk of engineers today who are very bright. They should have proposed these softwares, but maybe unfortunately the government doesn't want to, take them as it is. For now, we have a couple of councils. I think, like I said at the beginning, at the introduction of our show, we have a council. I don't know whether it is Betua, I'm forgetting the name, that has tried it, and it is working. Complete. You go to the council, everything is online, you do everything online, you just go, they just do the printing. So at some point, even the stamping and the signing is done on the system. That's to let you know that it's possible. So if we have not done it, I just think maybe it's a political will. And if it's possible, now it's going to make it easy to follow up these documents. Follow up in the sense that there will be now a link between the civil status services and the government in such a way that when your files are introduced into the government system like CGPS, which is in charge of salaries and so on, CGPS now will go into the civil status website and check that, okay, are these documents authentic? If they are authentic, they take. If they are not, they just get it out of the system. So I believe that it's just a political will, because it is actually possible. If we have succeeded with passports, we have succeeded with national ID cards. What more of birth certificates?
Now the question that Cameroonians, before I come to you, Barrister, who pays the consequences, or who is of course subjected to the consequences of these fraudulent birth certificates in Cameroon?
We are the government and the people, because we the people, we also benefit in that. Let me tell you, Barrister was trying to give an example with the DV lottery in another way. But let me tell you that many Cameroonians benefit from the fact that, and I want to think that maybe some of them are behind the aspect of not digitalizing the civil status sector.
You're talking about the mere citizens or authorities?
Yes, citizens themselves are authorities are citizens, so it's the same. Because we have many Cameroonians that are wanting to go out. And let me tell you that one of the requirements to go out for some cases is a marriage certificate. You have people who just go there, just sign marriage certificates. You cannot count the number of fake marriage certificates that are out there today. You can't. A good number of people, like we call them bushfallers, who have traveled out of Cameroon, travel with fake documents. So I want to think that to an extent, maybe the people themselves are the same people. The people themselves, that is the population, are the ones actually fueling for not digitalizing the civil status registry. Because if they do, many of them will not have some of the opportunities that they have now. Paatu was talking about the aspect of age group. Many people today, they always want to have that leeway to always cut their ages at any time. get 3 years, get 5 years. You see somebody who is looking old, he's telling you that he's 25 years, which is practically impossible. But the document is showing
conditions. Conditions can make somebody become that
kind of person. The document is showing the opposite, but the way you look at the person is the opposite. So you see that, like we ourselves,
you can't concentrate on that particular environment because conditions can make somebody look a bit older and also even younger.
There's no condition that can make somebody naturally move from 50 to 25. I don't think there's any condition.
There are some Cameroonians who are, some civil servants who are unable to work because they were long due retirement, but their ages, their public service ages, show that they are still young. They are still young.
And they are the ones behind this.
But they are delivering the services demanded.
They are unable to deliver.
Delivering the services.
Yes, Mr. Enchi. What we should be sure, I think the problem which we are trying to address here is not the fact of the document being authentic, but they are authentic, but that they are not. The people are not in. The people are not real. If he's talking, and that is why I decry that we need to look at it from the base, because if you don't go to the base, at the level of the base, this is a quarter. If there is a quarter head who is empowered to work, the quarter head will be able to know there is a child who is born in this particular place, in this particular house. I have 10 houses in my quarter. A newborn baby will not escape the mind of the quarter head. If somebody dies and is buried in this quarter, the quarter head will not be the person that will not escape the mind of the quarter head. In Yaoundé, in Yaoundé, for example, you make a census to see. You see that most of those civil status, secondary civil status registration centers, most of the heads are retired civil administrators.
But they have experience.
And that is because they have the experience. To be under Minat.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me get the reactions of Cameroonians. Of course, a lot of them are writing us both home and abroad. I'll commence with this one that is writing us from England. Okay. Good evening, dear panelists. I'm very delighted to watch your program on Full TV. The problem that we have in Cameroon concerning this issue of allowances allocated to public servant or civil servants in the country is a serious cause for concern. There are even people who are receiving salaries in the country, but they are out of Cameroon. How does this even happen? Meanwhile, normally with a normal situation, Cameroon ought to follow up issues, or Cameroon ought to work in collaboration with information and communication and technology. We have IT experts in the country that needs to work in collaboration with these ministries, but they are not doing it. How does it? How in a dispensation where Cameroonians are looking forward for economic development, but people are consuming the little amount of money that the government is in possession of. This is a serious call for concern. I just want to call on the government to increase its duty, to dominate its duty. Of course, please, if you're writing, make it very clear, because it's a bit confusing. There's somebody writing us from England, of course. I'll take this other one. Good evening, dear panelists. Game of Thrones. We talk of 4,000 bed. We talk of 4,000 fake birth certificates, millions per month, and multiply by 24 months. It will give us 432 million that civil servants have embezzled within 2 years. Is that amount up to the thousands of billions embezzled by our administration? We have the gold gate of about 2,000 billion francs CFA within the period of 2024 and 2025, stolen by 100 of Cameroonians. That money would have boosted the family allowances of civil servants to about 10,000 francs per child. Let us talk of billions embezzled, and not some hundreds of millions which is in circulation in our microeconomy. These are somebody writing us, but without no indication, no signing. Please try to sign your write-up so that, of course, Cameroonians can easily connect with you. We continue with this one. This is somebody writing us from Betua. Good evening, dear panelists. I just want to salute the effort of Mr. Numfo Lawson. You are making sense on that set. likewise all the other panelists. What we have in Cameroon today is the aspect of we are too slow in applying some of the laws that we implemented at the National Assembly and the upper house of Parliament. The government actually is already old, and we need vibrant people. Talking about this issue of birth certificates in the country, we need a system that can easily dictate every birth certificate in the country. I'm talking about information and communication technology, a system. Yaoundé ought to have a server whereby all those civil status registries across the country are connected to the server in Yaoundé, so that in case there's any problem of birth certificate, it can be detected without people running around looking for papers and so on and so forth, just to confirm whether a birth certificate is fake or not a fake. This is somebody writing us. I will continue with this one. Good evening, televiewers of Food TV. I'm writing you from Bamenda. I have a problem with this country. The problem that we have in this country is that people do not take things serious. Cameroonians are crying for development on daily basis, but we are the ones that are hindering this. We are the one hindering this very situation, and it is a serious cause for concern. I just want to remind you that please, we do not take calls on set. We take just messages. I continue. I just want to make Cameroonians understand that if you want development in this country, we ought to be responsible. We ought to take our responsibility. When we go abroad, we see how things are organized. We are happy to take pictures and even follow their system. Why is it that in Cameroon it is very difficult for us to respect the laws and also abide with the rules and regulations? That's somebody writing us from Bamenda without any signing. I proceed with this one. Good evening, dear panelists. I'm writing you from Ghana. I love your program. I'm watching it live on Facebook. I just want to say this. Cameroon, of course, needs a serious reform. Reforms that, of course, are implemented with iron hands or iron fist. I just want to call on the President of the Republic, President Paul Biya, that no matter the situation that people are saying that he's over, he's intelligent, and he should use his intelligence while he is still alive to make sure that before he leaves power, this problem should be a thing of the past, because those who are coming are already hungry, and their aspirations are that they want to get into power and collect all this. Let me leave it from that perspective. We proceed with this one. Good evening, dear televiewers. I want to appreciate what you guys are doing at the Full TV. But my problem goes thus: you guys have only one debate program in English. Please try to multiply your programs so that we should have multiple programs, debate programs in English on the Full TV. We proceed with this one. Good evening, dear panelists. I'm writing you from Canada. The problem that we have in Cameroon is that people do not respect the law. If actually we are conscious of some of the consequences of our actions, there are things that we need not to do. How can an individual declare that he has 10 children, meanwhile he doesn't even have a child? This is a problem in the country, and the little money that are being collected from Bayam Salam in the quarters or in the market are spent carelessly, and at the end of the day, Cameroonians are going about having no potable drinking water, no good roads, and this is a problem. It means the problem is us and not even the authorities that be. Changi Roosevelt, when you listen to Cameroonians saying this, what do you think?
Well, I'm glad that they are looking at things from the same angle that we all have been seeing here. You know, aside decrying the fact that we are, looking at crumbs while other people are, chopping big fishes. Cameroonians we all can conclude on that fact that a good number of Cameroonians have serious uncivic behavior. When you look at Cameroonians on a day-to-day basis, the level of uncivicness is just too much.
Too high.
It's extremely high. Someone like me who drives often,
they are careless about some of the rules and regulations that need to be respected.
Almost all.
And you want to talk to somebody will tell you that, do you know who I am?
Voila, do you know who I am? Who are you? You actually, if you are a police, to tell him what to do. Can you imagine that? Or which is you are just being a concerned citizen. Somebody is eating his banana, his granules in a taxi. I mean, culture tells us that if you hold it. I cannot count the number of times that sometimes I hold dead on my hand until the dead in my hand becomes dead because I forget that I have to throw it somewhere because I've been looking for a trash can here and there and not seeing, which is another problem. But still yet, it's supposed to be a responsibility. We should not expect the government to do almost everything for us. Come on, you have somebody who is maybe 21, 25 years old, newly recruited in the public service, and you are already at 10 children. How is it humanly possible? Let's
come with justification.
Let's be honest. And that is where the problem is, and that is why we are saying that the digitalization of the civil status system should be done as soon as possible. That project has been in the coffers of the government for just too long, and we don't know. They have been doing, you know, sampling pilot phases here and there, but we want it done generally, like one of your televiewers was saying. We should have a central system where all civil status centers are attached to, in such a way that if a birth certificate is being done, let's say in Betwa or in Kuseri or in Bamenda, the central service should have it in such a way that when you go to another place, you should not put in that same name or that same child. I mean, it makes it practically impossible. So we should, aside of the fact that we should, you know, upgrade our civic behaviors, the government too should be very, very strict. You know, we are for so long we have had this notion of tolerance, administrative tolerance. I mean, we have overextended the administrative tolerance to the extent where we now have people that have embezzled as much as they can. Some, you know, back in the days, it was difficult for a civil servant to even do business openly. But now it's like a normal thing. I begin to wonder. We see members of government owning structures. We see members of government.
It is not accepted by the.
No, it's not accepted by the public service code. So I don't even know how they are doing it. I mean, what are you teaching the younger generations of civil servants who are coming up? That is okay for a civil servant to have very, very big businesses with extremely high capital. What are we teaching the young civil servants who are coming up? That a civil servant is normal for a civil servant to even be richer than a businessman? Does it make
sense? About a civil servant being richer than the state?
It doesn't make sense. So we really need to work on all of that, so that at the end of the day we should build a nation together. Because at some point in time we are always, you know, blaming others while we ourselves, we are the problem.
Thank you very much. We are gearing towards the end of this program. I'll comment with you. I'll still remain with you, Jack Roosevelt. It is very obvious that Cameroonians wants to get solutions to this issue, talking about the family allowance fraud in Cameroon. What solution are you proposing to the government and even to civil servants in Cameroon to overcome this situation? Because once these monies are being directed to areas that are unknown, it is the Cameroonian people that suffers.
Yes, I think first and foremost, it is already on the way. The Ministry of Finance has, you know, opened a commission on that, chaired by the Minister of Finance himself, to, you know, audit the situation, and they are currently working on it in such a way that you need to prove that those children actually belong to you. A couple of documents need to be submitted, certificate of life, you need to authenticate the birth certificates and so on and so forth. So that's already a measure that is on the way.
But if these documents are being authenticated, do you think that they cannot be done somewhere illegal?
That is still another problem.
So how can this document be verified?
The only thing we can do to solve this problem of civil status registration in Cameroon is to digitalize the system. Okay. So we are urging the government today, you know, to take that procedure as serious as possible. We have had a good number of pilot phases. We are tired of the pilot phases. We want something concrete now on the field. We have succeeded in other domains, passport, ID. We should also do it with birth certificates. It's not impossible, it's possible. So I think that's what we should do. Cameroonians should also know that legally speaking, it is unlawful and it can be punished. It can be punished by the penal code.
Of course, barrister will
barrister said that it can be punished by the penal code, and it's also being punished by the decree that organizes social affairs in the country, in the event where you go and declare false children and all the like. So we should be aware that such things are punishable.
Thank you very much, Tv Roosevelt, local development expert. I come to you, Barrister Lekelefaka Michael. You are a legal mind. What do you think actually needs to be reinforced in the various legal instruments that we have that do go against the practice of producing fake documents, and even to the extent of getting in contact with fraudulent activities that will permit individuals working within the administration of Cameroon to gain allowances from their children, through their children?
I think with the level of unemployment which we have in Cameroon, the stakes which are there are very good. What we need to do is to make sure that the implementation becomes effective. If the implementation becomes difficult, it's because when you look at the cases we are talking about today, if you may come up with a case forging against one of the corporates, but at the level of the court, the person has relation that the matter is not even heard. So these are the problems. The same ministers may be.
What kind of relations are you talking about?
The same ministers may call at the level of the court to say, but this person, this case is my case.
Cameroon is a state of law.
The state of law for the commoners. I think the state of law for commoners. When you have a
So are you telling us that those who are manipulation of responsibility are not subjected to the law?
They know actually what to do. Like we are talking about Mr. Janvi and others are talking about digitalization of the bet. I think there is one thing which I would like to emphasize with respect to that. It's not making it digital which will pose the problem, but I think if we think about that, if you want to submit documents for
applications,
the children for family allowance.
Exactly.
These children should be accompanied like every civil servant. It may be the child should be at least 2 years. Why do I say 2 years? A child whom we can get a fingerprint into the system, because if we take digitalization without the fingerprint of the individual, nothing would have changed, because the documents will still be inserted into the digital system without having any problem. But if we can go with the fingerprint, the same family, whether they are twins or they are whatever, they will not have the same fingerprint. And that can easily dictate that this is any document which comes into the system without a fingerprint, accompanied without a fingerprint, is a fake document.
So you're telling us that these are the solutions that, of course, the councils in Cameroon ought to adopt to make sure that it goes on smoothly without any problem.
Of course, that would be very wonderful if they can do that. If there was even a way that we can take, because I think as well, the fingerprint of the babies can be taken. But here, it may be
even blood samples.
But barrister, these are procedure, of course, are commenced at the court. Of course, you need to produce a court judgment. Don't you think
the court judgment, the magistrate who is there has his interest? Do you think the magistrate is different from the person who is going to court?
If at the base it is not actually these functional, meaning at the base of it, because these documents are being produced, you need to have a witness that testify that this person is this, and so on and so forth. But if at the base of it there is no authentication on this document, do you think it will be successful at the end of the day?
The witnesses we are living. Look, Mr. Enche, Cameroon today, corruption is an institutional problem that the powers that be have cautioned corrupt. They are conscious that corruption, Cameroonians have to live by corruption.
So you are telling us that the courts are corrupt?
The most corrupt. Not even that they are corrupt, the most corrupt. I think go by virtue of the report, the CONAC, which is an institution which is charged with carrying out investigation and doing that, coming out with a report. You see that the court in Cameroon is one of the most corrupt sectors. The judiciary is one of the most corrupt sectors. The magistrates who are there, they are not concerned about just dishing out justice, but they are concerned about how much do I go home today with. This is a fact. I'm not saying that all the magistrates, but we have a few.
The public service of justice is
a few of them who
these
are doing
documents, of course, commence at the court.
Not all of them commence at the court, Mr. Enchi.
The birth certificate.
Not every birth certificate commence at the level of the court. Not every birth certificate. Let's make that distinction. I say go to the civil status registry that we are talking. Most of them. They don't go. What we are talking, the documents that we are talking here, I don't think if they have about out of the 400 and something birth certificate that we are talking about, you will not have up to 100
So
which
a
are passed through
court
the court.
judgment or a court declaration is not needed in the process of producing a birth certificate?
It is needed when the child is more than 3 months old.
Yes.
But if these people, they are conscious of it, they cannot go to the court, because at the level of the court will ask, we need to see the child, we need to see witnesses to testify. But now they simply go behind back and they work at the level of the councils. They are conscious of the legal orders. So they stay away from the direction that they may be apprehended. So that is why I say that we need to go beyond what they are doing. Because if we have to register a child with the fingerprint, nobody will bring a birth certificate without a child with the fingerprint, and that will curb the problem to an extent. Then you are back at the level of the registration centers. Every council, I think, any fraudulent birth certificate, the author and the authority issuing it, the mayor, whoever signed it, should be held accountable. If we don't look at the fight from this dimension, and we cannot attend it. And that is why I said we should bring back birth registration, death and marriage civil status registration. We should empower the local authorities, the traditional rulers who are there, the villagers, they are there. If we empower them to an extent that they will become credible in giving us this information, then we shall be sure that documents which are being established within this particular unit are authentic.
Thank you, Barrister.
Just to add that when the civil status registrar or the mayor, once they sign that document, they are signing it on behalf of a judge. So whether it's coming from the council or whether it's coming from the court, it is considered a court document, be it from the council or the court.
Thank you.
Because the mayor at the same time is considered as a municipal magistrate.
Thank you.
That is why when you go to sign for your wedding, they call it locally that I'm going for court wedding, but technically it's not the court. But at that moment, the mayor is wearing the casket of a magistrate.
Thank you very much. Because of course, before even you have your marriage certificates, there are other waivers that you need to collect from the court. Of course, and approve a declaration from the courts too. I'll come to you, Jean-Baptiste Eyaya. It is very obvious that this issue is a serious canker worm, and Cameroonians want to really have solutions to this, because the generation that we are right now needs to pass some of good morals to those who are coming, so that things like this will not exist and Cameroon will develop. Tell us, what do you think? What are you proposing to the government of Cameroon and even those who are working within the sphere of the public administration to overcome this issue?
You know, Phil, President Iram Iyudi, the president of the MP3 party, when he was a presidential candidate, he had a manifesto. And one of the key points in this manifesto was the aspect of digitalization. And he was very elaborate in that. And we proposed that we should have our own data center, because that is also an issue. A data center, a secure national data center, will be able to connect all administrative units, because it's not all about digitalization, but we have to be able to bring that interconnectedness between all the administrative units, all the councils, so that we shall be going a long way to solve many problems within our country, including that of embezzlement. We are in a country where a person, it's a present state of affairs, a person can get wedded in Yaoundé under monogamy, and then goes maybe in Gaoundé and gets wed under monogamy because there is no
polygamy.
Yes, no, I'm saying monogamy. Because there is no trace of his past marriage because of lack of digitalization. Let's go to the digital system.
So somebody can get married in Boya.
Yeah, that's
yes.
why I say you can do monogamy.
Yes, because they cannot be halted because there is no trade.
Which of course is prohibited by the
law. Yes, which is prohibited by the law.
Talking about marriage, I have seen a case where in the same civil status register, if somebody gets married,
two regimes,
in two different registers, having two different dates of marriage under the same center.
Thank you very much.
So you see, in a digitalized system, all these particular issues cannot happen. It cannot happen. It's the same thing with the digital system, judicial system. You can get condemned for a crime you committed maybe in Furawa, and then because you were born in Yaoundé, when you come for your, I'm talking under the auspices of the lawyer who is with us. If you come for your what they call I think non-conviction. There is no trace of the incidents that you committed there or your condemnation there, and you can easily have
a certificate of non-conviction without having any information about the person that filed.
Exactly, because of that lack of interconnected. It's the same thing when you come to custom duty. It's the same. If we had that system, that system will go a long way to curb corruption. And another suggestion will be that if we really want to fight corruption and embezzlement within our country, we should be genuine and firm inside that. And it passes through the strict application of this article that we have been talking about, Article 66, because we need to fight against corruption and embezzlement from the top itself, and then really be firm. And once we start fighting against it up there, it will be very easy to impulse that fight even down to the whole system. I think these particular things all put together, we can go a long way to stop this particular issue. And the last thing I will mention is really review the policy regarding this family allowance, and who are supposed to be the ones to benefit from it. I think it should not be indiscriminate. There are some categories of civil servants maybe that should be given priority over the others. You cannot be given the same this priority to a person that has more than 800,000, more than 500,000 as a monthly salary, and then the person that is struggling with 80,000 and 200,000 is subjected to the same conditions.
Everybody is equal
I think,
the law.
Exactly, but I think the Cameroonians who are really in need should be given priority. I think,
but the tax system itself is either regressive or progressive,
so we can give that opportunity for Cameroonians who are really struggling because of the inflation rate, because of the living condition, so as to really be supported. They should be supported so as to curb this thing. I think if we are genuine in all that, if we put all these dispositions together, the state and the civil servants and the people of Cameroon will be working together for the prosperity of the people.
Thank you very much, Jean-Baptiste Eya, communicator with the MP3 party. I come to you, for Laos on civil society activists. The morals of Cameroonians need to be upgraded.
Yes, I agree with all what my co-panelists have said in terms of the way forward, and I would like to add that when it comes to the family allowance, I would like to propose to government that the government should set aside a fixed rate of family allowance to be given to all civil servants, and they should put a cap on it. If, for example, government says the government can decide that each civil servant should have family allowance for 6 children, and they give it to all civil servants.
No, but no for Lawson. Yes. You cannot restrict families to procreate. No. You cannot restrict women to give birth to children. No. There are people who believe that having 100 children is another part.
Then they should not complain, because there are traditional rulers now. You see this thing is going on now. There are traditional rulers who declare 500 children.
But they have the proof?
Well, even they don't have the proof. It is true. It is true that there are traditional rulers.
It's possible.
It is possible. A traditional ruler who inherits wives. Those children are his own.
So if you're talking about having a cap, let's say 6, and a fixed amount should be given, what of those other children, the 5 of the rest, the remaining 496?
Well, that is what government can pay.
The government cannot do everything.
The government cannot do everything. So if the government does not put a cap,
so if actually the government cannot support this family, these children should die because they don't have.
No, it will equally make the people procreating those children to be responsible.
But Cameroon, of course, is
to be responsible.
The
government cannot pay family allowance for everybody. If the government has a will, but the government cannot do everything, and that is why the minister has come up this time around.
So you are trying to tell Cameroonians that they should limit the number of children that they should
we give birth to the number of children that we can.
We are Africans.
We are Africans, it's true, but the government cannot take care of everybody. Put a cap on the number of children that the government can pay. Well, a civil servant. I'm not saying that it should be 5. The government can decide that, okay, we are an African family, we are an African society, and averagely an African has a man and a woman, they have about 5 to 6 children. Then if you add brothers' children, sisters' children to it, it can go up to 10. You see, so the government says, okay, I'll pay family allowance per couple, 10 children. You see, for maximum for all civil servants. I think that would be a good way. It will be a good way, and it will be something that will be enable the government to handle. The government knows that I am budgeting on 10 children per family, and that budget is traceable and it is visible.
Dr. Menum for Lawson, you propose something that Cameroonians might be loving it. Now, what of the case where maybe the couples are not entitled to children? They
are given to couples whether you have children or not, because we are in an African society.
Don't you think in the case where these couples do not possess children, and they come out with situations like this, don't you think they are defrauding the government?
Not we are looking at the civil service in Cameroon is seen as a crucible for social cohesion. Yes, every family wants to identify. Let every family in Cameroon identify itself within the public service.
But why should you pay? Why should the government pay family allowance to families who are not in possession of children?
A man may marry a woman and they don't have a child, and they take other people's children and they are taken care of.
The children become
yes, they can become theirs, or they adopt children,
biological or adopted children.
Yes,
adopted children.
Yes,
but
right on.
But I may disagree with what Mr. Lawson is talking about, giving a fixed number of children, because what we need to know is, as a civil servant, it is your right. If you have the right to procreate 1,000 children and the children are real, I have no problem that the state should take care of those children, because we need population, and it is the population today that gives the
just in the economy.
Okay, that is your point of view.
What we need to think, I think we can say rather that the Minister of Finance in his commission, which is going on today, is not even necessary if they have created this commission discreetly to send them, to deploy them to the field. Mr. Jean-Baptiste is a civil servant. Where does he live? He lives around Simbok. The commission does that in the like they're doing census.
If his children are out of the country,
what we are saying is, if the children cannot be out of the country without the traces, and if the children are out of the country, it means most of them will be major, and the majors are not subjected to family allowance. So we can trace these things if the will is there.
It's possible if we get to an advanced society, but I think as a palliative measure for now, we can adopt what Mr. Lau said.
Mr. Nufo, you have the floor now.
Yes, the second way forward, the government should significantly step up salaries. The salaries of Cameroonian civil servants are the lowest in the world. We have the lowest salaries in the whole world, the whole wide world. Lower, I want to believe that they are lower than even those in Central African Republic. The government should step up the wages of Cameroonian civil servants, both in the public and private sectors. This would help to, curb some of these fraudulent activities.
But if the government cannot meet up financially with this situation, how is it going to be successful?
You see, the government is leaving an elephant and chasing a grasshopper. This sector is a grasshopper. The real sector where billions, we have sectors of national life that we're just talking about, the gold sector. That sector has lost 4,000 billion francs to corruption. 4,000. People are talking about 2,000. It's a lie. It's 4,000. That money has gone up to 4,000 billion that Cameroon has lost just to gold. We are not talking about the other minerals. We are not talking about the forest products, non-forest products. We are not talking about petroleum products. If you have to add all of that, this country is too rich. If the Cameroon government decides today to add salaries by 30%, they will be able to pay. The government should increase the salaries of civil servants so as to enable civil servants to avoid some of these dirty tricks. The government too should fight against this industry of forgery. The forgery industry in Cameroon is it is everywhere now, mushrooming everywhere. You go to Bonamusadi, you see that industry there.
Bonamusadi where in
Yaoundé. even in Douala and many other towns in Cameroon, and their work has been facilitated by artificial intelligence. It is very easy now to fake a document and make it look like a real one. So those industries are, you know, mushrooming because of corruption, because of the high cost of living in our country.
Thank you very much, Numfo Lawson, for your presence. Thank you very much, Jean-Baptiste, for your presence. It has been a wonderful day. Of course, we've come to the end of the program. Thank you very much, Changbi Roosevelt.
It's always a pleasure.
Of course, we are expecting you maybe again next week. Thank you very much, Barrister Lekelefak Michael.
Thank you
for your presence. Thank you very much. We've come to the end of this program. Of course, I just want to remind our televiewers that we'll be back again next week as Saturday, as from 3 p.m. right up to 4:30 p.m. And if you want to get connected to our programs on Info Television, you can get us through our Canal Plus in Cameroon, Channel 6, Creolink Channel 6, and also we are on free-to-air decoders. Not leaving out YouTube and Facebook. Just Google or just write the name Info TV Cameroon, and of course you get all our programs, those of course that already have been done in this very set. Thank you very much, televiewers. Of course, our programs continue on this prestigious platform in Cameroon. From us, we say goodbye and God bless Cameroon.
Amen.